This is the iconic work of British photographer Michael Kenna, striking in its simplicity and beauty. I speak to so many photographers that hold his work in such high regard, and it's definitely not surprising. Today I've come to the Yorkshire Dales, following in Kenna's footsteps, as I try to delve deeply into his processes, both technical and philosophical, to emulate his style of work and see what we can learn from this true master of photography. Michael Kenna was born in 1953 in the town of Widnes in the north of England. Kenna was given a strict Catholic education and originally considered becoming a priest before studying photography at the Banbury School of Art and later at the London College of Printing. In the late 1970s he moved to San Francisco, following in the footsteps of Ansel Adams, where he began developing the distinctive visual style that would define his career. Kenna's work is characterised by long exposures, often taken at night or dawn, soft light and carefully balanced compositions, more often than not framed in a square format. He frequently photographs quiet, atmospheric scenes, such as snow-covered fields, lone trees, industrial structures and coastal horizons. His images emphasise simplicity, subtle tonal range and a sense of stillness that invites contemplation, echoing his spiritual connection to his subject matter. Influenced by early photographers like Ansel Adams, Alfred Stieglitz and Eugene Atget, and the minimalist aesthetics of Japanese art, Kenna has spent decades photographing locations around the world in his iconic style. His prints, typically small and meticulously crafted in the darkroom, are held in major museum collections and have been exhibited internationally. Today, Michael Kenna is regarded as a leading contemporary landscape photographer, celebrated for transforming ordinary places into timeless, meditative works of art. Quite a lot to live up to then, so we better get cracking. And I suppose my first port of call should be finding a subject that's, let's call it, Kennaesque. I've come down to the edge of this limestone pavement because these trees behind me have caught my eye. Kenna was an absolute master at photographing lone trees in bleak environments, and this tree in the middle especially is ticking a lot of boxes. With that snow etched onto the bark, it should create some really nice contrast in a black and white image. I've only just got my camera out and I'm realising how much Michael Kenna must suffer for his art, because this ground is absolutely treacherous, especially in these weather conditions. Anyway, the purpose of me moving around ever so slightly is to try and isolate this tree as best as I possibly can do against that very nice plain sky in the background. One of Kenna's most important aspects of his approaches to his work was simplification of the landscape surrounding his subject, making that subject stand out and really sing within his photographs. I think I've found the angle that I'm looking for. The next thing that I need to do is frame this tree. Kenna was famous for taking his photographs in square format, so I've got to factor that in. The first thing that I'm looking at is the shape of the tree. Now, it's not leaning from one side or the other, it's sort of projecting itself out from the limestone pavement in a Y shape, which is telling me that I should really place this tree at the centre of the frame, because then it's going to fill the frame and not necessarily lead our eye out of it. I've also got to take into account what's around the tree. We've got the other trees on the left and the right, and some smaller ones out on the horizon, which ideally I don't want to get in the frame. I also have to think about the positioning of the tree horizontally as well. When I'm looking through the viewfinder here, I'm looking at a 4:3 aspect ratio, not a square. So I need to think that if I place the tree dead centre, then I've got some cropping room to still maybe get a little bit of foreground interest from the rocks of the limestone pavement. So I'm happy with how we're composing this shot. So let's have a look at how we can technically put it together, how it's going to be exposed. Now, a lot of Michael Kenna's photographs could be described as high key. meaning that the frame is predominantly highlights and the shadows make up the subject matter. Although very high contrast, Kenna's photographs will also hold a lot of detail, especially in the highlight areas, which often feel like they've been pulled back, so they never look overexposed. They look soft and quite natural. To achieve this effect, he would often go out at night or in low light to create really long exposures, which kind of softens everything down a little bit. Unfortunately, I haven't got that luxury, not yet anyway. It's probably going to be dark very soon. But there are a few things that I can do to try and emulate this effect. The first thing that I'm doing is shooting with my aperture wide open at 3.5. Now this might sound contradictory to what other landscape photographers usually advise, but when we're emulating the work of Michael Kenna and I'm shooting in that 4:3 aspect ratio and cropping down to a square, ideally my main aim is to isolate that tree, having that in focus. Anything that falls out of focus in the foreground is probably going to get cropped out anyway, and I want the background to be soft, so it brings the tree forward in the composition. Although the sun is going down, it's still bright enough to keep my ISO quite low. For the purposes of this example, I'm leaving it at 100, but I might want to go back in post-production and add some grain, because Michael Kenna is, and has been from the start, very much a faithful to film. If you've never seen The Traitors, then that's gone straight over your head. All I need to do now is determine my desired shutter speed for this shot, to keep details in the highlights, but also not crunch my shadows too much, while still keeping that nice high key effect. That sounds easier said than done. The way that I'm going to do this is by taking a spot light meter reading from the sky, working out my shutter speed based upon my ISO and aperture settings. This is going to make sure that I don't overexpose it. If I'm being really meticulous, then I might also take a meter reading from a shadowy area as well, and then work out a midpoint between the two. This will ensure that there's still a lot of detail in the shadows and also detail in the highlights as well, but keep the exposure well and truly centralised around that point. If you'd like to learn more about light meter reading, which I think is often an overlooked aspect of photography, then make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because I'll be doing a video on it in the not too distant future. So, having done my metering jiggery pokery, I've come up with my aperture as f3.5, my ISO as 100 and my shutter speed as 750th of a second. Hopefully this is going to make sure that there's enough detail in the highlights and in the shadows, but also present that really nice crunchy, high contrast, high key effect. Yeah, I'm quite happy with what I've achieved out here in the field. I've got a composition that I would coin Kennaesque, and I've aligned my settings to make sure that I make the most of the light and the contrast of the scene. Now, Michael Kenna is also a master of the darkroom. Now, I know that I've been using digital photography today, so I suppose my equivalent is the Lightroom. So next time you see me, we'll be in a nice cosy studio, and I'll talk you through how we can take this photograph further as we edit it in post-production. So I'm back in my studio, and I want to see if I can use this photograph here as a bit of a reference shot for my edit, because I think it resembles the photograph that I've taken with the snow etched onto the bark and the lone tree in quite a simple landscape. So here I have my original picture straight out of camera. And I think the first thing that I want to do is crop it to that iconic Michael Kenna square format. So I'm going to select 1:1, and I'm also going to bring the sides in ever so slightly just to make the tree fill the frame a little bit more and align it so it's pretty much dead center within the frame. That is looking good to me so far. So I think my next port of call is turning this photograph black and white to get that iconic Michael Kenna monochromatic look. I got my exposure right out in the field. I'm quite happy with how it looks in this picture, so I'm not going to touch that slider, but I am going to increase the contrast ever so slightly to really make that tree punch against its background. And as I said earlier on, Michael Kenna's highlights always seem to look as if they've been pulled back. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, to bring a little bit more detail into the sky and the snowy areas on the hills in the background. And I am going to counteract that with a little push of the shadows, just to bring a little bit more detail back into those darker areas and draw your eye more to the foreground. Now I'm going to come back to the whites and blacks and the presence sliders in a moment. First of all, what I want to do is just fine-tune some of this contrast with the tone curve. So I'm going to pull the shadows back ever so slightly, which is going to give me a little bit more darkness around the tree area in the foreground. I'm going to increase a little bit of the presence in the mid-tones there, and I'm also going to slightly push those highlights up ever so slightly. So we're starting to get a little bit more contrast involved in this photograph. Then I can go up and edit my whites and blacks. Now I'm hoping by pushing these whites up, it's going to really emphasize that nice snow that's etched onto the bark of the tree. It is going to push the highlights in the background up a little bit more, but I think I've already pulled those back enough to help that to compensate it a little bit. And I'm also going to pull the blacks back ever so slightly to really emphasize that dark contrast against the brightness of the highlights of the snow and the sky in the background. When it comes to the presence sliders, I am going to increase the texture and the clarity ever so slightly, but I'm also going to pull back this dehaze slider, which is going to make it a little softer across the tonal ranges of the photograph. And I think that looks a little bit more Kennaesque, as we've been putting it, with a little bit of fine tuning. Now if we look back at our Michael Kenna reference photograph, you'll see that it isn't quite true black and white. It's got a warm tone to it. If you look at it against this white background, you'll see the difference, especially compared to our edit so far. So what I'm going to do to try and counteract that in our photograph is to once again go down to the tone curve here and go to the blue channel and slightly pull down on the mid-tones within this photograph, and that should just give us a little warm tone across the whole of the photograph. But it's still looking a little bit yellow. So let's go to the red and push the red up ever so slightly. So that is giving us now a slightly more accurate warm tone across the whole of the photograph. Now we are really coming down to the fine-tuning stage here. I don't really want to edit any of my colour channels because the scene was quite monochromatic in the first place. I might want to try and make that sepia sort of toned look a little bit more rounded by doing a little bit on the colour grading. But again, I don't want to push these too far at all because we want it to look as natural as we possibly can to that original Michael Kenna look. So I'm just tweaking these sliders ever so slightly in the directions that I think are pushing it in a direction that feels right for that Michael Kenna look. The other thing that we could do as well is add a little bit of a vignette to this photograph, just to bring your eye more centrally to this tree and darken the top corners ever so slightly, which was another technique that Michael Kenna used to use quite readily. So pulling that in is just going to give us a little bit of an edge around the side of the photograph to pull your eye centrally and just make that tree pop even more. Now the other thing that we said that we would do is add a little bit of grain to this photograph. So I'm going to zoom into the picture so we've got a greater detailed look, and I'm going to drag the grain slider up until we can see that grain appearing. Now we want it to look film-like grain, so I'm going to introduce a little bit more size to it, maybe pull back the amount ever so slightly, and maybe add a little bit of roughness to it. So we're just trying to make this photograph look like it was taken in film rather than digital. As we zoom out, you probably won't notice it as much, but I think it's just given a little edge to the photograph and another nod towards Michael Kenna. Now, I think this photograph is looking pretty good, but there is one thing that I want to do just to finish it off, because with all of those layers of edits that we've just put on, I think it's starting to look a little bit too dark. So I'm going to scroll right back up to the top, and I might just inject a little bit more life into the shadows there so we've got more detail coming through. I might want to maybe pull the highlights up a little bit more so it isn't too dark, especially around those highlight areas where we want detail but we don't want it to look smushed, for want of a better word. And I think those colours maybe look a little bit too yellow as well, so I might do a little bit of tweaking on those before we finish off with our final Michael Kennaesque photograph. So there we have it. It's taken a lot of thought, a lot of process, but I think I've finally got the photograph that I was looking for. What do you think? Do you think it looks Kennaesque? Michael Kenna has obviously adapted a style that is hugely iconic. His photographs are recognisable as soon as you see them, and the simplicity and meditative feel to his pictures draw people in and keep them captivated. What creating this image has taught me is that simplicity isn't necessarily simple in practice. There's a huge amount of thought that goes into each and every one of Michael Kenna's photographs, from the subject choice to how that subject is composed with its surroundings and how it's executed technically through camera settings and post-production. I think it also goes to show how personal photography can be. Each and every one of Michael Kenna's photographs that we look at opens up a window to him as a photographer and his own unique perspectives on the world. Before I headed out to this windswept, snow-covered hillside in the Yorkshire Dales, I really admired the work of Michael Kenna. But now I've been through his processes and practices and seen the world through his eyes, I feel like I appreciate him even more. And I hope you do too. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so. And if you'd like to learn from more masters of photography, then make sure that you catch up on this series. It's now time for me to head down to the warmth, because quite frankly, I can't feel my toes. So until the next video, thank you very much for watching. It's bye from me for now.